Okay, good morning. So, yeah, weight's what broke the wagon. The wagon broke. Cody was coming around a corner with a load of corn on these things, and they hold like 500 bushels, fully loaded. These things they're pretty massive wagons. The gears are only 13-ton gears, so it is what it is, right? It is what it is. So we had to have the police come out because there was a crazy lunatic guy that it broke right on the corner of the crazy lunatic guy, hippie creepy Joe over there on the corner. And when that tire came off, or that wheel came off of there, it rolled over onto his property. So my nephew Cody there, he was like, "Hey, what do I do with this guy? This guy is like freaking out." It's like, "Well, I don't know, just ignore him." He's like, "Well, I think I want to call the police, get them over here so that there's not an altercation." I was like, "Oh, well, that's cool. Yeah, go ahead and do that." So obviously in the background you see that the police are there. Now what happened with this stupid ass thing is that the bearing at the end of the axle, it just broke. That was it. It just broke. Come around the corner, I guess over a long period of time. It's not like it wasn't greased. It was greased. The end cap is even still on this one. And it snapped it off, and it didn't break the axle, it just snapped the bearing, and it just came undone, and around the corner it went. Same exact thing that happened to me last year with the other wagon. So what I've done now is I've abandoned this wagon, parked it in the back, and what I'm going to do is I've bought two new 15-ton running gears that I'm going to put underneath both of these boxes because I'm not going to have these problems anymore. Right, Teresa?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what's going to happen. So anyways, in the last video, people were asking about the time I drove the combine down from Tamaqua, Pennsylvania. It's a 62-mile drive, and it just so happened that it was, I believe it was 2008. It was just before, I think I don't remember, it was just before I really started YouTube. I had put a couple videos up with the kids and stuff on YouTube because it was a pain in the ass to upload back at that time. But anyways, I didn't have a camera with me, obviously. I had flip phones back then, or bar phone, no smartphones. I think the smartphone of the day at that time was a BlackBerry, or a Crackberry is what they call them. But anyway, so my father had had surgery on his shoulder for a torn rotor cuff, and I was combining alone. I was doing everything alone. I had no help. It was just me. Timothy was in like 8th grade. He would help a little bit on the after school, and on the weekends he would help. I'd put him in a combine or whatever, or have him watch the dryer. He was pretty good at that. And life was good. That's how I did it until Dad healed up, and then he went back to hauling wagons for me. But anyway, so I'm on my way home with this thing, and it only goes like 16 miles an hour. No head on it, just the combine. And I have to come from Tamaqua, which is down, what is that, Route 100? So I took Route 100 down to, what is that road? I think I went down to 309. I did. I went down to 309. God, I got to think about how I did that. I went down to 309. Then I got on Route 22. I did. At 309, I made a left onto, was that Trexlertown or something Avenue? Whatever. Anyways, I made a left and I went on and I got on at Route 22, and I just went down Route 22. When I got to where did I end up getting pulled over? I got pulled over in Bethlehem. So I went from Allentown to Bethlehem. And when I got to Bethlehem, I had a line of traffic so long that it made Channel 69 news that there was a piece of farm equipment, a slow-moving farm equipment, backing up traffic, and there was a lot of people calling the police because it was Halloween and they needed to get home to get their little children ready for trick-or-treat. So they pulled me over. They pulled my ass over, and it was about 7 or 8 or 10 different cop cars. They just all showed up and like, "You can't do this." I'm like, "Why not?" "Well, we're going to arrest you for blocking up the road with a piece of farm equipment." "You ain't arresting me for that." And I was pretty cocky. I wasn't going to let them do anything. They're like, well, where are you going with this thing? I'm like, New Jersey. They're like, no, you're not. You can't do this. You can't bring this down a, a highway, an interstate. It was Interstate 22 yeah, US 22, Highway 22. So, these were the young guys. Well, the station commander comes out because the police station was only, I don't know, 200 yards. And the young guys are like, you're going to park this thing here on the median until you can get a truck here to pick this thing up and bring it home. I'm like, I am not. I said, they won't. Why do you think I'm driving it? They won't have a truck to bring this thing. So the station commander, he comes up and he says, hey, where are you going with this thing? I said, I'm going home. Where were you? I said, well, I just bought it. He's like, wrong answer. It's like, what? He said, if you were working with it, I could let you go. There's nothing I could do to stop you. He says, but since you just bought it. I says, oh, but I'm going to work with it right away. He says, no, you have to go from field to field in order for me to allow you to go. And he said, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow you to bring this up to the station and park it up there. He says, you can park it in the back. He said, there's a parking lot back there. It will be safe. And then at 7 o'clock in the morning, you can take it home. I will allow you to leave with it at 7 o'clock. The sun will be up. Everything will be good. And you can drive it on back roads. You cannot take it down Route 22. I'm like, fuck, what am I going to do here?
Murphy won.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, the governor, the former, yeah, he didn't win. It's a freaking cheating piece of shit state. We're the original corrupt state here, by the way. Anyway, 7 o'clock, I fired that machine up. And me and my friend Larry Schaenenberger took off with this thing. He had the truck, and we went down through the middle of Bethlehem City, right by the old Bethlehem Steel before they turned it into these casinos. It was impressive. We get pulled over again in Bethlehem, and Larry gets out, and he has a really rough voice due to a tumor that was on the back of his brain, and they took it off, but they had to cut his throat to do it. So he's like, they told us it was safe to go through here. And the cop was like, who told you? Pennsylvania State Police, he tells him. So we got a police escort, one in front, one behind us, through the city of Bethlehem, all the way to Hellertown. Hellertown? Yeah, Hellertown. So when we get to Hellertown, the Bethlehem police turned around in front of us, waved us on, and all of a sudden Hellertown police come and they're in front of us. One in front, one behind. I got a police escort all the way through Hellertown, and Hellertown at the time had just put up those stupid crosswalk, plastic crosswalk things that like yield to the pedestrians in the crosswalk. And every time this cop came to a crosswalk, he would move the sign over because this TR-96 is pretty wide. So he'd move it out of the way. And then he would go ahead. And this guy was hopping out of the car, taking off, moving to the next one, hopping out of the car, moving it, jumping back in, going to the next one, all the way through Hellertown until we got out of town, down by the McDonald's. What is that, 263, I think is the name of that road there. And so it was quite an experience. I drove that combine all the way from Tamaqua. When I get home, my dad was there, and he had a sling on that was like, I don't know, it held his arm away from his chest, but if he fell, they said take it in the face because you'll tear those anchors loose and you'll lose the ability to move your arm. We can't fix it again. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I've been trucking, so there's not really any content coming. And yeah, let's just hope and pray I finish up today.